Shalom, shalom. What do I want to share with you today about what I love about Israel so much? That is the fact that we are living in a time where we are witnessing, experiencing the events foretold in the Bible. As if it's not crazy enough that after thousands of years of exile and persecution, when things look really bleak, especially the possibility of us coming back and living in the land of Israel that God promised to us and gave us thousands of years ago, and yet somehow we've regained sovereignty. We've come back to our land. We see this kibbutz of Galiot, ingathering of nations. We see them, Jews from all over the world coming here. We turned a desolate wasteland into this green, beautiful, I mean, the flowers and the fruits and the vegetables, some like I've never seen before, gorgeous, delicious, beautiful. We built up the infrastructure. We've advanced so much in technology and in every way, shape, or form. It's incredible. And we see the children singing and dancing in the streets like we were told. But unfortunately, we were also told that in the footsteps of Messiah, that it's not going to be all party, that we're going to suffer. We're going to suffer birth pains. Anyone who's experienced them know they're extraordinarily painful. And we did suffer very much from the terrorism and the deaths of October 7th, and we're losing our soldiers and all sorts of difficulties that we're going through right now. And most of this because that we see Hamas and Hezbollah and all of these proxies that are coming from Iran, who have been saying for decades that they want to wipe us off the map. And this is a very serious threat, something that they meant. And we see them feverishly trying through the years to develop their nuclear capabilities. And Israel did not want to go to war with Iran. Not at all. They tried everything within their possibility with negotiations, and with alliances and all sorts of ways to try not to have to go to war. This is not something we wanted. But Iran, stubborn as they are, will not be happy until Israel is wiped off the map. And they became really, really close. And our existential reality here in Israel was threatened. And we had no other choice. And on Friday, June 13th, Israel launched this operation called Rising Lion. And the reason why this gives me chills in my body is because if you're a Bible-loving woman like I am, you know that where does this Rising Lion, it's familiar. Where is it familiar from? So we're told when Yaakov, our forefather, when he was on his deathbed and he called in all the 12 tribes, he said, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen at the end of the days. And he talks to Judah. Now, Judah represents the Malchut, the kingdom of Israel, okay? So the one who is the leader and where everything stems from. And he calls him Gor Aryeh. Gor is a lion cub, and an Aryeh is a fully developed lion. And he says that he will rise up against his enemies. And then it goes on to say that the end of the picture is really beautiful because we don't, lions, they're lying in wait, they're not moving very much. And then when it was forced, when it was provoked to defend its territory, the lion gets up and in a decisive act strikes the enemy. And we're told that what will happen is that the end of the picture will be when Shiloh comes, and this is, we're talking about the Mashiach, the Messiah, and the end of days, when we build a structure for God, that there will be this ingathering of nations. Everybody's going to realize what is true, what is good, and Israel will be the light unto nations that it's supposed to be. And everybody will, this is a time that we're waiting for. The end of days is not something to be afraid of. I do not think. The end of the days is the end of the days as we know it, with war and suffering and turmoil and sickness. This is what we're headed to obliterating, because when the world finally comes to the acknowledgement of one true God and we're all part of this one universe with God at the center, we can live in peace and prosperity, where we are so on the verge of figuring out so many things, how to be physically, psychologically, emotionally healthy and live a peaceful life in unity. And so that is the beginning of the new days. And that is the end of the days that we know, where we have suffering, sickness, and war. And that is why I feel a light of hope. And to be able to see it so close that we can taste it, because everything has been coming true. So obviously, the end will come true too. And the world is starting to see it. There is such a clear definition of line between good and evil right now. Globally, things are heating up. And you can see how all the pieces are starting to come in place for this prophecy to come to fruition. I believe very truly good things are around the corner, and I believe that all people who embrace truth and goodness will be there to see it.